I was very blessed to be raised with a mother that got the importance of eating quality food, how it nourishes us, not only physically, but spiritually. It connects us, to a deeper sense of life and just many things. So I was very blessed to have that influence. I wandered in and I talked to the guy that was running the building at that time, and he said to me, come back in about 3 hours. I'll rent you the closet. Well, he wasn't kidding. It was a closet. I gave him $100. I had $500 to start with. He got 100 of it. And then I just, I got a few shelves to put product on. And my first order, a lot of companies wouldn't even sell to me because I was not a brick and mortar. As business owners, we're risk takers, right? There's nothing in life is ever guaranteed in the first place.
Right.
But especially when you're self-employed. And we opened the store, and a year and a half later, the crash of '08 hit.
Oh my gosh.
And that's, it just what happened. So it was very, very challenging, very difficult. But Jim and I have always learned, we take these challenges in life, and we've learned to learn from them. That's how you become wiser in what you do. I think it's important for people that are starting in business. They have to put their heart and soul into it. Because if they don't, starting a business is not easy. Unless somebody has deep pockets, that's a different story. Most entrepreneurs I know haven't had deep pockets. So you have to put everything you have into it.
I'm Andy Golding, partner and chief strategy officer of Kripke Enterprises, and I am very excited about today's episode of Toledo Works. In these podcasts, I speak with business owners to uncover their stories of success, struggles, and achievements.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Kripke Enterprises. At Kripke, recycling metal is not just good for the environment, it's good for business. This podcast is produced by Stewart Media Strategy. Today, I am thrilled to introduce Claudia David-Roscoe. I am excited to welcome her from Health Foods by Claudia. Claudia's or Health Foods is your go-to destination for everything healthy, offering a wide range of organic groceries, supplements, eco-friendly household items.
Yep.
And, today we're going to talk about the entrepreneurship road of running a health food store with all the supplements, and we're going to learn it all. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm thrilled.
I just found out that Claudia has her own podcast. So please, you're welcome to promote your podcast.
Well, thank you. So Denny Schaefer and I started a podcast a year ago, and we're having fun. And we go live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go Facebook Live and do our thing. And then Denny puts it into audio, and it goes out to all the iHeart and Apple and all that stuff.
Well, that's great.
So yeah, and we're there to. It's really important to me being in this industry. I've been 49 years in what I do, and I'm very grateful. And it's important to me to get the proper message out to the country, because what people have heard about, natural products and supplements and people in those health food stores, it's not been accurate by any means. So we're there to teach people. And now more than ever, I think more people are embracing the importance of their own health. Because if people don't learn to take care of their own health, nobody's going to do it for them.
Your health, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
You don't have anything.
Right.
So we guide daily. Education is what we're all about.
I love it.
That's what we're doing.
So tell me about your store. Where did you open your first store, and how did you decide to open a store, and where did you get all the money to do it with?
Well, so being of the Arab culture, I was surrounded with businessmen. There was a lot of businessmen in my family. And of course, women weren't supposed to go into business. So, none of them knew what to do with me when I was a young woman, because they would be talking business and I always wanted to hear it. But I always have said, I think it's in my blood. I was very blessed to be raised with a mother that got the importance of eating quality food, how it nourishes us, not only physically, but spiritually. It connects us, to a deeper sense of life and just many things. So I was very blessed to have that influence. And by the time I was 16, I was working with Pat and Joe Bassett at Bassett's
Sure.
in Westgate. It was an amazing store. It was a very, not only iconic store for our community, but truly in the country. And I started there when I was 16, and I'm very grateful. I learned so much from Pat and Joe, and they were a true health food store based in education, heart, soul, really teaching people how to
Bassett
heal.
Nuts started as a health food store?
No, they were separate businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Bassett
I'm talking
Health.
about Bassett's Health
Got
Foods.
it.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Bassett's
No,
Health
that's
Foods
okay.
in Westgate.
Sure.
They were there for many years.
Yeah.
If Pat and Joe were still living, I think the business was probably close to 60 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so the wealth of knowledge that they shared with this community, but people around the country, I was very blessed to learn firsthand. And because of their involvement in the industry, Joe is very active in protecting health freedom rights. So I grew up with that. I was lobbying with Joe at I was 18, 19. I've lobbied in Washington for many, many years. I've lobbied at the State House in Ohio, because it's important that, legislators, they need to, all they hear is from big business, pharma, all those things. They need to understand that, we're the true health care.
Right.
What they're calling health care is not. I've said for years, it's disease care. It doesn't kick in until somebody's sick. We're teaching people true prevention, true being proactive, and just learning how to love ourselves enough to nourish ourselves.
Sure.
So learned a lot of cool things from Pat
So at
and Joe.
16, you worked at Westgate. By the way, my sister at about 16 worked at Lane's in Westgate too.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you were probably working, she's about your age.
Probably.
So you two were probably working around the same time.
Westgate was a very cool place.
Yeah, it was.
And to see what it's become, it's not my personal favorite, but I will always be for independent businesses, family-owned, independent-owned. I think they're very important in the United States. I think that we bring a heart and soul to this country that, God forbid, we're ever overtaken by these big corporate companies, because it's a different focus, I think.
Right.
So at any rate, I was there, very blessed to meet a lot of the greats in our industry at that time, a lot of the visionaries. So I worked there for 14 years, and then I wanted to go do my own thing. And initially, I was going to be a mail order company, because I had learned, it's expensive to have a brick and mortar. It's expensive to have inventory. And then you got to have people walking through the doors. So I was going to be a mail order company. So I started in the... what's the building at Talmadge and Monroe? A lot of people don't know this. The brick building there that's been there forever. That's where I started.
Okay.
And I wandered in, and I talked to the guy that was running the building at that time, and he said to me, "Come back in about 3 hours. I'll rent you the closet." Well, he wasn't kidding. It was a closet. I gave him $100. I had $500 to start with. He got 100 of it. And then I just, I got a few shelves to put product on. And my first order, a lot of companies wouldn't even sell to me, because I was not a brick and mortar.
So you were 30 years old, opening up a mail order business.
Yeah, in supplements.
And so how did people even know at that time this was even open?
So when I left Bassett's, people were asking where I went, and my father's name is Alex David. So many people said they went through the phone. They started in the phone book. They knew my last name was David, and they wanted to call everybody. And lo and behold, people were calling my parents' home. And my mom would say, "Well, she started her own business. She's over at Talmadge."
So funny.
And one day, I was there about 6 months. I never did ship one box.
No kidding.
I looked down the hallway, and here's all these people lined up to come talk to me, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful thing. And so that's when the first storefront was on Sylvania Avenue, and Messino's they were my landlord.
Okay.
I was right on the corner building. It was 400 square feet.
Wow.
It just kept turning product. People were finding me. It's funny because I didn't really want my name on the sign. I don't know why. So I called it Abundant Life. Well, everybody thought I was a church. So people were showing up on Sundays.
Trying to pray.
Wait a minute.
Right. That's so funny.
So everybody kept saying, "You should put your name on the sign." So that's how my name got on the sign.
So now you operated that out of 400 square feet for how long?
Well, I think we were in that first location, maybe 5 years. We kept knocking out all the walls. So we knocked out all the walls, and when we left, we were 1,200 square feet.
And were you in business with your husband at this point?
No, actually, when I left Bassett's and I just wanted to start my business, it's like, okay, God, praying I'm going to be successful. I know what I want to do, and I don't need a man in my life. That's, I don't need all that stuff.
That's right when they come.
And that's what happened.
Right.
We met the first month that I opened in that building at Monroe and Talmadge. We've been together every day for 33 years.
Jeez.
Thank you. And we still even like each other after all these years. So, and life has brought us a lot of difficult things, a lot of ups and downs. But through it all, I'm very grateful that he's my greatest friend, and anyway, I'm grateful for him.
That's amazing. So, of course, and whenever I'm talking to people in their 20s or whatever, I'm done dating, and it's always that. It's always that time when you don't want it or when you're not open to it, is when you're and it's really when you're seeking something is when you don't find it. When you stop seeking it, that's when you do.
Exactly.
So you meet your husband.
Yeah.
And you work every day in this location.
Yeah.
And how did you know it was time to grow? Or did it happen to you?
Well, I'm a big vision person.
Okay.
Even with the podcast, I have a big vision for
Sure.
the podcast. And so, it just organically grew. More people, when I first opened the door, my mother, who's no longer living, neither of my parents are living, but they were wonderful, and she helped me start the business, and she'd come every day and she'd greet everybody. There were just the two of us.
Sure.
And in the beginning, what'd we have? 5 people a week or something? And it slowly kept growing. And I remember the first time we had 50 people in one day come through the doors. It was like, yay. So, we just grew it. We just, I think it's important for people that are starting in business. They have to put their heart and soul into it. Because if they don't, starting a business is not easy. Unless somebody has deep pockets, that's a different story. Most entrepreneurs I know haven't had deep pockets. So you have to put everything you have into it. And at that time, Jim had his own business. And eventually he just started helping me unpack boxes. And pretty soon he was pricing stuff. And now he's, as he puts it, the pencil pusher. And, he does all the office stuff. And I'm grateful that we do it together. So, but we don't get in each other's lane. We have, we have that respect for each other and that trust. He does what he does, and I know he does it well, and I do what I do, and he knows I do it well, and so it works.
Well, I would think for a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're in business with their spouse, when you get into their lane is when trouble happens. I would assume. And,
yes.
And my guess is that, it sounds all rosy now, but there's probably been some times along the way where maybe that you have entered each other's lanes.
I have to say, from the day we met, we just vibe and we just
amazing.
flow. And here we are 33 years later.
So you're in 1,200 square feet.
Then. And then we moved down to Secor. We're on Secor now.
Right.
But we were down near where, whatever it was, Cafe Marie's.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah.
We were in that plaza.
Okay.
And so we knocked out all those walls. I forget how big we were when we left there, maybe 8,000.
Okay.
Something like that. And everybody was asking us to open more stores. And, of course, one store is enough.
Right.
Especially for what we do. Our knowledge base is very, very strong. I have a wonderful team of people. We've always learned and grown together in what we do. It's important that to me, that my team is heartfelt in what we do. So we kept growing and growing, and all these people were asking us, open a store in Perrysburg, open a store up in Michigan, open a store wherever.
Right.
And we just didn't want to. We wanted one store, so we were collecting zip codes at that time. And when we built our Monroe Street store, which was it was a beautiful store. It was a 21,000 square foot store.
Big store.
We had an amazing food service. You could get everything from a grass-fed, burger. We had a raw chef on staff. We had a bakery. It was a really beautiful vision and unfolding of what we were creating. But as business owners, we're risk takers, right? there's nothing in life is ever guaranteed in the first place,
Right.
but especially when you're self-employed. And we opened the store, and a year and a half later, the crash of '08 hit.
Oh my gosh.
And that's, it just what happened. So it was very, very challenging, very difficult. But Jim and I have always learned, we take these challenges in life, and we've learned to learn from them. That's how you become wiser in what you do. So everything that we learned from our Monroe Street store, we really understood. You have to prepare yourself in business when the day, when it's a rainy day, because it's not always a sunshiny day. So it taught us a lot.
What would you say were two of the biggest lessons? One obviously is always save for a rainy day. But what were some of the other big lessons? And when you left there with all of the accoutrement that you had,
Yep.
and you moved to a smaller location,
yes.
like how did that transition go?
So where we're at now, I just want to say it's very interesting, because the location we're at now, it's so many people have said it's their favorite location. It's very warm. It's very cozy. It's not so big. It's not too small. So I think what we learned from Monroe Street was, again, in business, you have to be prepared for the worst of times. And I think it's very important for that. But the other thing is making sure that everyone in your team knows your vision.
Really? Okay.
And, when
that's hard to do.
It is. And it gets back to the mission statement and all that. And for years, I've tried to write the mission statement, but of course, it was this long.
Right.
And over the years, trying to get it succinct so people really understand, what are we doing here? What are we as a team? What are we creating? And so we really had to learn. That's very important. Everybody needs to understand the big picture.
And were you able to, when you got to your new store, finish the vision statement?
Kinda.
It's
still
tough.
A work in progress.
It's always a work in progress. Yeah. But do you feel like the team is all on the same page?
Yes, we have an amazing group of people. We have 14 people plus Jim and I. So there's, I think there's 16 of us, 15 or 16 of us total.
So it sounds like it sounds to me, what I'm gathering from you is that maybe some of your secret sauce is when you have a store that sells apples, there's not a lot to talk about. Is it crispy? Is it soft? Does it make good pies?
Right.
But your new store, or your current store with supplements, it sounds like you want your staff to engage with people and help educate them.
Absolutely.
And that sounds like part of your secret sauce, when carrots and apples and celery, there isn't that much engagement there.
Well, and I've always said, people walk into a shoe store and they know what to do with shoes. But you walk into a health food store, and we're a true health food store.
Okay.
It's important to me that we stock our shelves with companies that I believe in.
Right.
When a lot of the companies that we have grown over the years, sell out to big corporate interests for millions and millions, we get rid of them. I mean, I'm not here to support big corporations. We're supporting family-owned independent businesses.
So you want your businesses that you supply to reflect your values.
Absolutely, that's very important.
Reflect
to
what
me.
you do.
And with our team. And it was interesting, when we were in our larger store, our staff grew very quickly.
Of course.
Right?
And fresh chefs.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's having a smaller team for us has been really lovely, because you can bring people in, and it's easier and to keep everyone connected and educated. And as I said, we have a lot of doctors that refer to us. Well, I said that before we got on the air. We have a lot of docs that refer to us, which we're very, very grateful. And, they know that we're there from doing what we do from heart and soul, doing it responsibly, doing it with proper knowledge. So the team has to be a part of that.
Right.
And so we do a lot of, we learn daily, really.
Right.
Daily. So it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very proud of our team.
That's great.
Yeah.
So when you had your major issue in 2008 and moving on to other issues, what part of your support system has stood by you? Is it your suppliers? Is it your bank? Is it your insurance company? I mean, What relationships have been the most important along your entrepreneurship road?
I think that's a great question, and developing those relationships are extremely important. I was, when I first started the business, I was working with, Ohio Citizens at that time. We were always working with smaller businesses, and then we ended up with a large bank that really didn't know us, and we didn't know them, and they didn't care to know us.
They probably had a small bank that got eaten up by it.
That's exactly what happened.
Course.
When Huntington took over.
Yeah.
And, it became a whole different environment. So having those intimate relationships with bankers, I think they're very important. And of course, we work with small banks again. We like that.
Right.
The big corporate thing where people don't know who you are and they don't care to know who you are. That's not our cup of tea.
Right.
And we look at it the same way. Every customer that walks through our door is very important to us. In fact, everybody that walks in, they know if they're open to a hug, I'm going to hug them.
That's great.
But that's how we do the whole thing. So we were very supported with a lot of our companies, family-owned supplement companies that have been in business many, many years. They understood it was business.
That's so interesting, when your partnerships are a reflection of who you are.
Yes.
Then they are more likely to go up and down with you.
Yes.
And I have never really thought of that.
Yeah.
I think that is, I think that's so true. So, as other entrepreneurs are looking to buy maybe supplies that are the cheapest or getting the cheapest rates and not investing in the relationship, that comes to roost when issues arise.
Yes, absolutely. And again, let's face it, life is about networking with people. It's all about relationships. And you want quality relationships, or at least we do.
Right.
So we were very blessed that we had a lot of support around us. And we worked very hard. It was a lot to negotiate through all that.
Oh,
but, Jim he steered the ship through the storm.
Pushing pencils.
And I'm very grateful. And
that's amazing.
So we found this location where we're at now. We've been there 13 years. And we're happy to be there. People love it. God willing, we'll be there for the rest of how long we're in business. And, it's more getting a bigger location is not always the best thing.
Bigger isn't better?
Not always. Not always.
Comes with complications.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
Yeah, and so, we have a small team. It's more workable. We're more connected. Jim is, he likes payroll being smaller. So it all works that way. And, let's face it, being in business, numbers are important. You have to know your numbers. You have to know your margins.
Right.
So it all goes with it.
So I have to imagine that I don't have to imagine, I know this is a fact. Somebody walks in your store, you can read them head to toe as soon as they walk in.
Right, yeah.
Never been in a health food store before.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who has been, who's, I don't know if you get a lot of price shoppers. It's probably, they're trying to find the relationship of the things that can help them grow mentally, physically. Yes. And if they can find the right person on your staff that they connect with, you probably have a customer for life.
Yes. And the whole internet thing and big box stores all around us, and we have, stores that claim to be health food stores, but they're owned by big corporations. I think that there's always going to be price shoppers, right? There's always going to be people that want to save $2, but they spent $5 getting to where they're going to go save $2. There's always going to be that mentality. But for us, and people know that we're there because we care. We know we care about what we do. I always say when we leave work at night, we're not flying through a fast food restaurant.
Right.
We're living what we're teaching, and we're walking it because health is something you have to walk. You can't pretend it. And at the end of the day, health is people are either helping themselves to be healthy or they're not. So, we do our best to live what we teach, and that's it. We take it one day at a time, and that's how we do it, and that's how we teach other people to do it. So I told the staff several years ago, if you have somebody that's coming in and they're picking your brain for your knowledge, but then they're leaving to go buy it on the internet, if you identify that person, of course, we're always respectful, have to be respectful. But I said to them, you have my permission to say thank you for coming thank you for coming in, but please go get your information where you're buying your products.
Right.
And that's how we deal with it. And, a lot of people have said, we don't get that stuff off the internet anymore because we get people that come in with bagfuls of products they've got off the internet. They don't know what to do with them.
Right.
They just keep buying all this stuff because somebody told them it was good for them. So true health and finding a way to embrace our own health, it's a skill. And we're teaching people tools, and we teach them, it's very important. People have to do it in baby steps. They have to do it in baby steps and on a daily basis. So
now it's the change of season. So we're in Toledo.
Yeah.
It's almost December. It's the end of November.
Yeah.
It is, right now it's 5:00 and it is probably 60% light outside.
Right.
What are you prescribing? Or, pardon
we
me.
don't
What
prescribe.
Are you, yeah, yes.
Ever.
What are you suggesting people do to get through the winter?
So we teach people, in fact, that was Tuesday's podcast.
Okay. Oh.
An array of products that from different companies, and of course they're all family-owned, independent-owned.
Right.
We've had some of them, Now Foods, I think, have been in business, 70 years or something. I mean, these are amazing companies that we work with. I know them all. I know the owners. I'm blessed to know a lot of people in our industry. So Tuesday was, what day are we? Oh, yesterday.
Yeah.
This is Wednesday, right? So yesterday we did an array of products that support your immune system through the winter months.
Okay.
So we went over some, you should watch it. It's a very good episode.
I think I'm going to. So now I've got another one for you. So now the other part about being an entrepreneur is energy.
Yeah.
And I can tell from you got to bring it. You can't bring 80% every day. You got to bring 110%.
Yes.
What are some things or some techniques or some supplements that people can use to keep their energy high? What are the actual
the first thing is always what people are eating.
Okay.
Always. You don't see people putting water in their gas tank.
Right.
But people are eating things that are harming their engine.
Okay.
So that it always has to start with the food choices. We teach people start with the basics. All day long we talk about getting rid of sugar, refined carbs, dairy.
Dairy too?
Just that alone, when people really start to identify where the refined food that they're eating, what they're eating and the junk, it's all junk. When they really understand that it's harming them, as we always teach people, the brain, the immune system, and the endocrine system all start in the gut.
Right.
So you better put good things in there because if you don't, your body's going to tell you. And, the body is talking to everybody, but Western medicine has taught shut down the symptom, take a drug, cover it up, take a pill, whatever it might be. Those symptoms that people get are important because that's the language of the body. So we teach people how to become mindful of what they're eating and find the right foods that are right for them because everybody is individual and unique. And there's certain supplements that we like that we've seen over the years help people, like Royal Jelly is a beautiful product to start with.
What is that? What?
Royal Jelly is a cool product. It's what the nurse bees actually produce to feed the baby bees. Bees. And the worker bees can live about 5 to 8 weeks, and they're fed Royal Jelly just a few days. But the queen bee is fed Royal Jelly her entire life. Okay. And she can live over 2 years. So it's a food-based supplement that's just power-packed with good nutrients. And it's a lot of people just get a nice, there's quality energy, and then there's people that are cranking themselves up with caffeine drinks and they're running around like lunatics and they can't think straight and they're so we teach people how to have quality energy. So there's a lot of different, we use ashwagandha as a beautiful herb, been around thousands of years. Hopefully more Americans start learning about it. So there's many herbs that will help the body deal with stress and bring some quality energy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
All these years what we teach in health food stores, it's been scoffed at. The big business has always ridiculed it and made fun of it, and, name calling, and, there's nothing anybody could call me anymore that would hurt my feelings, because at the end of the day, good nutrition is just simple good sense. That's all it is. It's good sense. So, there's so many people in our industry that are brilliant researchers, doctors. We have a lot of people that have come trained from Western medicine, but they're tired of the revolving door, so they come in, they come to the other side.
Right.
And, they join us weirdos in health food stores. But
hippies.
We're the ones truly that are educating this country. We're the ones that have protected the right of Americans to access supplements and the education that goes with it. And it's always an uphill battle, because there's big business, they make a lot of money from disease. So the more
I
sick
couldn't agree with you more.
Well, the more sick people you have running around a nation, the more their pockets, they've got deep pockets from making money off of sick people. That's not, at the end of my life, I don't want to say I made money off of sick people. We help people embrace their health and truly learn how to rebalance and reclaim themselves. It's a beautiful thing.
That's great. 15 years ago, my wife had to spend 2 days in Toledo Hospital. So I go down to the cafeteria, and they are serving jalapeno poppers. I couldn't believe it. So I wrote a letter to the Blade and said, why? It's like, I said, they are creating their patients in their cafeteria.
Yes.
And I believe that it's gotten a little bit better.
I mean, not much. A dear friend was in the hospital a couple weeks ago, and I was with her every day. And, they're Jell-O and pudding and cake and cupcake. It's like, really? Come on, So it's not only sad. At this point, I think it's pretty shameful. When we talk about business, and of course, disease is big business.
Right.
But everybody's complaining about, how do you pay for all this sick care? Well, when more people learn to get out of sick care and get into wellness,
right,
our debt of what it's costing us to pay for all these sick people, this country could save a lot of money not throwing the bill for disease and sickness. Now, some of it is needed. There truly are some imbalances that happen, but everyday health belongs to people. And when more people understand that, and more people get off the Western medical, the other day, an elderly gentleman came in, he's on 14 drugs, 14 meds. I mean, we see this all the time. It's not fair to the person that ends up on all that stuff, and it's really not making them any better. So I pray that there's a shift that's occurring in this country since the last 3 years. So hopefully more people are waking up and understanding they have to start taking care of themselves.
What do I take to get off of sugar? I am addicted to sugar.
Everybody.
I love sugar so much.
Everyone.
Every form, candy, cake, I love it all.
Well,
is there a supplement to get it? They've addicted me completely.
Well, and that's I do believe that was by design.
Of course.
I mean,
and I'm hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the biggest. Well, not the only reason people come in, but when they come in with all their aches and pains and headaches and depression and joint pain and bowel problems and whatever, so many people during the conversation will acknowledge they're sugar junkies. They can't stop eating sugar. So we teach people, we're always looking at, in health food stores, or at least in our store, we're always looking at underlying factors, potential underlying factors. And it's fair to say, we're in modern times, there's toxins everywhere. People need to understand we're all absorbing toxins every day of our life. Plastics and heavy metals and, we're surrounded with it. It's part of industrialization. So we can't get away from it. So as these toxins are coming in, and of course, people have been eating sugar in this country for a very long time. And we know that the average American, it's estimated that the average American is eating about 150 pounds of sugar a year. Now, imagine if you had a 150-pound pile of something right here.
Yeah, it's like me, about 150 pounds.
I mean, that's a lot of sugar.
Right.
And it's fair to say that it's what the sugar is feeding. I always tell people sugar is feeding all the misery that nobody wants.
Right.
So we teach people how to get to the underlying factor. We do a lot of education, active education, and have for years on fungal overgrowth. In 1986, there was a book that came out written by Dr. Trowbridge and Dr. Walker, and it was called The Yeast Syndrome, and we still stock it to this day. And Joe said to me, read this book for me, will you? Tell me what you think. That was in 1986. From that time, every day, all those years, that's our main focus. We're teaching people to understand why, a lot of people are yeasty and they just don't realize it. And it's coming out in many different ways, and it's being labeled as, oh, you have this problem, you have that problem. No, oftentimes it's the same underlying issue. It's just coming out in different ways. So we actually there's many beautiful supplements that we educate on that help people get a handle on the sugar cravings. And it's after 33 years, it's what we've done every day for 33 years.
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, as I said earlier, this is like you provide the assistance to get the right fuel to go into your body so you can bring 110% a day to your job, your business,
to your
whatever,
life.
to your life, because you can't do it without it.
No. We've worked with people over the years. We've worked with very wealthy people that had a lot of health problems. They weren't having fun, all their money, and they weren't having any fun. So at the end of the day, if we don't have our health, there's misery there. And and so much of it, it's very sad to me, because understanding what we do and I've been blessed to work with hundreds of thousands of people. 49 years.
It's a long career.
It's a long time, and
a lot of supplements.
And you see when people step back and see the big picture, it's easy to see why so many people in the United States don't feel well.
Right.
It's easy. And a big issue for me is what we're doing to our children. Our children in this country are being harmed through the very foods that everybody wants to feed them, and all the junk and the everything that's being done to them. So we see more and more young children coming in, they're being drugged. And I think it's tragic. I think it's shameful. I think it's terrible. And it doesn't have to be that way. That's the whole point. But it's interesting talking about business. I have a huge library. I have hundreds of books. They're all on, business of disease and, whatever. You look at my library, it doesn't look like fun reading. But to me, it's very important, because when people really understand how Western medicine was developed, it was a brilliant business plan. And, the industrialists were brilliant business people. They were ruthless, but they were brilliant. And Rockefeller Sr. was one of them. So when you really delve into how it was all developed, it's not such a pretty history. But at the end of the day, it was business. And we still see it. To your point, why should hospitals have junk in those facilities, and they're feeding it to sick people?
And healthy people that are downstairs waiting on I hear you.
It's big business. And there's a lot of things that... I remember at Bassett years ago, we'd see all these people healing of all this stuff, right? And then in the newspaper, you'd see an article telling everybody how, dangerous echinacea was. It's like, really? Are you kidding? So the longer people are in this, the more they see the truth of what we're really up against. It doesn't mean that we're up against that everything everyone's being told about their health is truthful or has integrity. It means that at the end of the day, it's good business,
right,
for disease.
Right.
And that's, so
intense.
Hopefully one day people will understand that they're making a lot of money for somebody else, but they're paying the misery for it.
So what do you see as a big thinker? What do you see as the future of your business, your podcast? What do the next 5-10 years look like for you?
For the podcast, God willing, we'll, have 1 million people tuning in.
Be great.
Yeah.
How about the store?
The store, it's a beautiful store. We're proud of it. It's meaningful not only to us, but to many people in this community. So, hopefully goes on for a long time. I'm actually 10 years older than Jim. I'm 65.
Okay.
So I'm looking at, okay, so the podcast is kind of the first step to retirement, but, we will be, will I ever retire? I love what I do. I'm grateful that we do what we do. I'm always going to be there to help guide people because that's what people know that we do. So, just hopefully keep on the successful path and really appreciate every day along the way because there's no guarantees in life and things can happen. And
that is true.
So appreciating every step of it. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to, focusing on those that we love, those that we care about, friends, family, the people in our world, and just helping to. I always say on the podcast, put your heart out there, put love into the world, shine your light, do good things, do it for kindness, because it's there's a lot of things going on, but I will always stand on the belief that there's far more loving, caring people in this world than not. So that's it. We just teach, and part of natural health is truly all about opening your heart.
Right.
Because it's a journey of trust.
It has to be.
It absolutely.
Right.
You're trusting nature's pharmacy. You're trusting the ability of how God has designed us. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about God, and that's okay. But I'll always, give honor to something greater than me and all of us put together. So we're designed with this magnificence, and we just have to remind people we have the ability to heal. We just need the knowledge to do it. And all we can do is do the best we can. And after that, it's in God's hands.
Sounds good. On that note, I really appreciate you being here. This has been fascinating, and your story is great. I think what you are what you have done for our community and continue to do is very important work.
Thank you.
And thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oop.
That's okay.
I hit the microphone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
That's it.